Thank you, UpStart, for sponsoring this video. So today we're going to take a look at some of the key takeaways from Brandon Turner's book, the book on rental property investing. One of the first things that Brandon Turner touches on in the book is the pros and cons of real estate investing and why people get into it in the first place. When compared to other things that you could invest in, real estate does have some unique benefits that you don't find with other areas of investing. It gives you the ability to purchase with leverage, often in the form of home loans. It gives you the ability to hustle for greater returns. In other words, you can actually increase the return that you get from real estate just by working harder. It gives you the ability to manage your investment directly, either by doing it yourself or by hand selecting the manager for your properties. In the grand scheme of things, real estate is generally considered a safer category of investment because people will always need a place to live. It's pretty simple and straightforward. You can buy things below market value pretty easily. Insider trading is legal, meaning if you know someone that knows about someone else who's selling their house, you can actually buy it for them before it ever hits the market. And there are other deals that you can make along those lines, whereas that type of insider trading in something like the stock market is very much illegal. There are multiple ways to profit from it, so you could rent it, you could flip it, you could do short-term leases, you could do long-term leases. There are pretty much endless possibilities, and you don't physically have to be present to make money from your real estate investments. But some of the cons are that building wealth with real estate does take time, and it can be an all-consuming process, meaning that you're spending your days and nights thinking and researching real estate. You do have to deal with difficult people, whether that's your tenants, your property managers, or your contractors. You are going to have to deal with people, and some of them naturally are going to be a little bit difficult. It also involves a lot of paperwork and bookkeeping. It is a business, so you do have to keep track of how your properties are running and any income and expenses that you are receiving from those properties. And there's always a possibility that you could lose your investment. Your stock portfolio can't go up in physical flames or get washed away by a flood, but a piece of property definitely can. So that is something to keep in mind as well. So after discussing some of these pros and cons, Brandon Turner dives into why some real estate investors ultimately end up failing. The first is too much risk. Although you can benefit from using leverage in real estate, it's good to know when you are pushing your limits and how much is too much. The second is not having enough education and jumping into real estate investing before actually learning anything. Brandon Turner encourages people to build a solid foundation of knowledge before getting themselves too deep into the real estate investing world. The third is not enough analysis and not actually understanding the numbers on your properties before you buy them. And the fourth is kind of a mindset one of not knowing if you're working on your business or in your business. What he means by this is that some people will get too deep into their businesses trying to do everything themselves, and they never develop effective systems where they could pass off that work to a property manager. They treat their tenants like friends. They don't really enforce the rules that they set out in their leases, and ultimately they kind of treat it like a hobby versus a business. So although he does acknowledge that those are the main reasons that people fail in real estate investing, he also gives you 5 keys to rental success. The first is thinking the right thoughts. A lot of what he puts under this first key to success goes back to what Robert Kiyosaki says in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's changing your mindset from I want to do this to I am going to do this, and from I can't do this to how can I do this. The second is studying the right source. So Brandon Turner recommends books, podcasts, going on YouTube and going on his website, Bigger Pockets, and talking to people who have actually been successful at it themselves. And although it is a great idea to learn as much as you can, he does say that it's better to read 5 books and actually take action than to read 20 books and never do anything with any of that information. Number 3 is pick the right plan. The main idea behind this key to success is having a why. Know why you want to get into real estate and what your end goal is. So this is going to include knowing where you're heading, what types of properties you will and won't invest in, how often you're going to buy properties, how you're going to finance it, and again, why you want to do this in the first place. Number 4 is to acquire the right asset. So because you do want to use real estate to increase your assets and decrease your liabilities, you do want to make sure that any properties that you buy actually fit into your budget and your ability to manage them. And number 5 is managing the right metrics and actually tracking how your properties are doing. So 3 things that Brandon Turner suggests keeping track of are what your cash flow looked like in the last month, what kind of increases you saw in expenses over the previous 12 months, and what appreciation has done to your property over the last decade. So after he hits some of those basic keys to success, he goes into more of the different types of properties that you can actually invest in, some of the different methods of real estate investing, and some of the different financing options. As far as different types of properties, you can invest in single-family homes, multifamily real estate, condos, townhomes, foreclosures, fixer-uppers, or commercial real estate, and I'm sure there are other options as well. As far as different approaches of real estate investing, he walks through 4 different plans, kind of on a year-by-year scenario of what you would do for each of these plans. The first plan involves trading up properties. So this would usually look like starting with a single-family home or maybe a duplex, and as you gain more experience and get more and more properties, you would work your way up to multifamily properties that have a lot more units. Plan 2 is just building wealth through single-family homes. So in this plan, he lays out how to increase your rental income just by gaining more single-family homes into your portfolio. Some people prefer not to deal with those multifamily units, so this is the plan for those people. Plan number 3 is house hacking. So this one involves you getting a single-family home and renting out the other rooms in the house, or getting a duplex or a triplex, living in one unit and renting out the other units. But either way that you do it, the point here is to basically cover your mortgage and live for free by having other people living on your property with you. After you do that for your first property, you can sell the property after 2 years and do the same thing with the next one. Plan number 4 walks through a scenario of how you could potentially make $100,000 a year using the BRRRR strategy. So the BRRRR strategy is something that's talked about a lot on Bigger Pockets. It stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. This method basically involves buying properties that need to be fixed up, going ahead and doing those renovations, renting them out to tenants, then refinancing the properties so that you get some of the benefits of that forced appreciation you did by rehabbing the property, and then repeating that on all of your future properties. So in addition to those different types of properties that you can buy and those different methods that you can approach real estate investing with, Brandon Turner also talks about some different financing methods that he thinks you should be aware of. So obviously you have your all cash option, you have your conventional loans, but Brandon Turner also talks about a few different methods like finding portfolio lenders or private lenders, hard money loans, using home equity lines of credit, or house hacking to fund that first deal, or even using personal loans. If you're looking for a good option for personal loans, today's sponsor, UpStart, can help. UpStart is a lending platform that offers smarter rates, has an easy, transparent process for getting your loan, and there's no prepayment penalty if you decide to pay off part or all of the loan at any time. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or getting a loan to finish your renovation project, over 500,000 people have used UpStart to get one fixed monthly payment. Unlike other lenders, UpStart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate up front for loans between $1,000 and $50,000. And you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how UpStart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/Arvabelle. That's upstart.com/Arvabelle. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you. So the book also talks about the importance of building your team. And this is larger than just finding a good management company or finding a good real estate agent, although those are some of the people that Brandon Turner mentions. He thinks that your real estate team should consist of these 10 people. First is your spouse, if you have one. They don't have to be as excited about real estate as you are, but they at least need to be on the same page and supporting you. The second is finding a mentor or an accountability partner, but finding them in a natural way, either by helping people out, going to different events, or just meeting people organically through your real estate hunting process. He says not to be creepy when approaching people and not to go up to people and tell them that you have selected them as your mentor, or just straight up ask them if they will be your mentor, because that's kind of weird. You will organically meet people as you get into real estate investing, so at some point you will be able to have an accountability partner or someone that you look up to as a mentor in this space. Third is a great real estate agent. Fourth would be your lenders. Fifth would be contractors and handymen, and having a good list of those because not all of them will respond 100% of the time. Number 6 is a good bookkeeper. Number 7 is a good CPA, and number 8 is a good lawyer. For number 9, you'll need to find a good insurance agent or a good insurance broker that can find you the best rates for home insurance. And number 10 is a great property manager. He says that a property manager can be the difference between success and failure for your investment properties. Next, he talks about the importance of actually analyzing a property and properly doing your research. First, you need to figure out the total project cost, and that's going to be more than just looking up houses on Zillow. This will be the purchase price, the purchase closing costs, pre-rent holding costs, and any estimated repairs. Next, he says you should figure out the total financing and the total cost out of pocket. Third is calculating the monthly mortgage payment. Fourth and fifth is determining the total income and expenses. And sixth is actually evaluating the deal and figuring out if your return on your investment and your cash on cash return actually makes sense for that property and what your goals are. And he acknowledges that there are a lot of other factors that go into analyzing a deal, like looking into the neighborhoods, looking into the crime rates, the local schools, how close local businesses are, the vacancy rates, property taxes, and other things like that. You also don't have to find these deals by just looking on Zillow and Redfin. There are a lot of other places that you can find decent properties, like the MLS, which you would have access to if you were a real estate agent, or your real estate agent would have access to. You could always go on Craigslist or a forum like Bigger Pockets. You could drive through neighborhoods and send people letters. You could go through courthouse eviction records, or you could go through wholesalers. Regardless of where or how you find your property, a lot of times the first properties that you get are going to be in a fixer-upper condition, but he says that there are a few problems that can make you money on a house, and there are a few problems that you want to avoid. The 8 problems that he considers good are ones that can be easily fixed. So number 1 is a bad smell, or what he calls the Bigfoot smell. The second is the hidden third bedroom, or essentially in a 2-bedroom house looking for an extra space that you could turn into a 3rd bedroom. Number 3 is ugly countertops and cabinets. Number 4 is a bad roof. Number 5 is mold. Number 6 is a funky configuration that isn't the typical open floor plans that you see. Number 7 is jungle landscaping or an overgrown yard. And number 8 is junk or hoarder houses. And the 3 problems he says to always avoid are bad neighborhoods, houses with foundation issues, and houses that have shared driveways. All of those are great tips, but some people live in places that are far more expensive than other cities in the US. So for those people, he has a few other ideas of how you can still get involved in real estate if buying those single-family homes in your area isn't really an option. He says to consider wholesaling, consider multifamily properties, consider condo conversions, subsidized low-income housing, or even something like fast food triple net leases. He also says to check the outskirts of the city, maybe in the suburbs or a little bit beyond, and he says to even look into out-of-state investing. So once you actually find a property, he does have a ton of tips on how to actually put together offers, when you should and shouldn't negotiate, and what you should negotiate on, as well as some tips for financing and how to get your loans approved. These sections include some pretty detailed lists and step-by-step processes, so I definitely recommend picking up the book and actually reading it if those are things that you're interested in hearing about. The later chapters also going over, once you have actually acquired a property, how to go about managing it. And again, he gives a lot of tips and actionable steps and checklists to go through as you're learning how to manage your properties. So these later chapters, I believe, are kind of intended to lead into his book on managing rental properties. So if you guys would like me to do a quick summary on that book as well, do let me know in the comments. Also remember, if you want to check out UpStart, go to upstart.com/Arvabelle or check that link in the description, and I will see you guys next time.